Welcome to another edition of the Bear Down Chicago podcast with your hosts, Ryan Dangle.
You picked a tie? What are we
True.
in Europe? Like what?
I'm sorry.
Soccer?
There's ties happen in the NFL, man.
They're called draws, right? Yeah, no, dude. Why? Why are we doing? No, absolutely not. All right. Well, you got to keep your own record now because I don't have a tie column. I got a win-loss column.
Patrick Sheldon.
I say that because the flashlight emanating and beaming from the steaming pile of as today's game is David Montgomery. He is the flashlight in my pile of poop.
Brendan Shagru.
So our buddy Brendan, who writes for USA Today, I have always screwed up his last name. Shugri? Shagru. Brendan.
And Jack Wright.
Sorry, Captain Flo's over there.
I'm not Captain Clue.
So you're not excited, Jack? You're not excited about having Sarah Spain?
Yeah,
on our
wow.
show, which is
Maybe no,
really
I
I
have
am.
talent. Is that what we found out?
Featuring Cam Ellis.
Once I was like trying to get a happy answer out of him, and I was like, "Hey man, like, do you take out of these situations like what is it like to know that like you're this beloved that like these videos are going viral?" And he was just like, "I don't do it for that attention." And then they just took the next question, and I was just like, "Okay, like I'm gonna melt into my seat and never come back here ever again."
And Logan Bradley.
Bears, rich history defensively. A lot of good linebackers. First round draft pick, hell of a player, a Bear that is going to go down in history. Nobody's going to forget. I am bringing back Shea McClellan.
The Bear Down Chicago podcast. Yeah, we're that Bears podcast.
All right, folks, welcome to another edition of the Bear Down Chicago podcast. I am your host, Ryan Dangle. Now, if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Ryan Dangle. That's Dengel. So right now I am flying solo, but should be joined by Brendan Shagru in just about 10 minutes or so. Patrick Sheldon wisely was spending time with his family. Logan Bradley was out of town. Cam Ellis is working. And I really thought, Am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? And I told the boys that I wasn't going to do it. And then just last minute, Brendan kind of said it. We should do an episode. We should talk about it. So for all of you that are hanging out with me live right now, I need your help. You're going to have to throw some stuff into the comment section to help me out, to help this show get rolling. There's a lot of things to talk about with this episode. I think more than anything, just initial thoughts without diving into the game itself, without looking at stat lines or anything along those lines. The Bears didn't deserve to win this game. They didn't deserve to win the game. I mean, plain and simple, you can spin it all the different ways that you want to spin it. It was gut-wrenching. Matt, my only comment thus far, sickening. Matt, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that in any way, shape, or form. It took me probably about 10 to 15 minutes of just like, is this real life? There should have been a flag. There wasn't a flag. This just, you saw the ball get tipped, go into the hands of number 85. I don't even know what his name is. Who cares what his name is? It hurts, but let's be real blunt, right? The Bears had no business being in this game. They had no business winning this game, and they didn't. They lost, as they should have. They looked bad from the start, which I do want to bring this up. We've got some people to thank in just a second, but just as I'm getting ready to run the show here, this is last week. I did not make this, and this is last week's episode. The true false was the Chicago Bears' slow starts on offense and defense will come back to bite them later on this season. I mean, I don't know how you don't argue with that. The first half, we saw Shane Waldron revert back to the first couple of weeks. What we saw in just bad football, bad play calls. The Kramer on a backup center getting a handoff on third down at the goal line. Like that was like Nagy levels of cute that were just stupid. And then to call two quarterback runs back to back when Caleb clearly is not. He's not the running quarterback. He's better as a passer. I mean, there's just so many bad things about this game. It was bad football all across the board. So let's do this. Let's thank some really important people, some really wonderful people, and then let's move on and talk about it. Hopefully, Brendan will be joining me in just a little bit. For all of you that are hanging out in the comment section, just let me know what your gut reaction is, what your thoughts are, what you're thinking about, and just I want to hear from all of you. I will try to get to as many comments as I possibly can, so keep sending them my way. The first thing we got to do, though, is we got to thank Hensel's and Sheridan's Barbershop. Now, listen, if you're in Naperville, you're going to go to Hensel's. For our audio-only listeners, that's HENCZELS barber.com, henselsbarber.com. And then if you're in Wheaton, you're going to go to sheridansbarbershop.com. That's in Wheaton, Illinois. Both places, phenomenal. The guys that run the place, I was the guy that for a very long time said, I'm going to go to, name that chain haircut place. And every once in a while I was like, maybe I'll pay more for it. And I was always like, yeah, it's okay. It's an okay haircut. The second I got in the chair with Will and Tom and those guys, I will never go back. I will go get the barber treatment. I'm going to be growing my beard pretty soon for St. Baldrick's. I grow it every single year. And they get my head and beard shaved off. Thankfully, it's still growing back. And the guys at Hensel's and Sheridan's, not only do they make sure that my head is shaved perfectly clean and all that stuff, they will give me a beard trim in the meantime so that I'm looking sharp. Hensel's Barbershop, Sheridan's Barbershop. It is where traditional meets modern. Go and check those guys out. Got some comments coming in, and I just think this was, man, I'm going to say this is, I knew that we were going to get people from other fan bases that were going to pop in tonight. And I just think that says a lot, that you can't just go and enjoy your victory, that you can't just, even some people that I thought were really, really cool. And I don't know, man, it's I think it kind of shows a little bit for the people that I'm going to not just sit here and enjoy my victory and go out and celebrate. I'm going to seek out people that I know are having a really hard time after a loss like that. It stings a little bit. So let's go to the comment section. We got some good stuff here. I was on a huge delay. This is Bruja7, our guy Bruja7, all the way from Canada. Bruja, I know this show would be incomplete without you, so thanks for being here. I was on a huge delay. Last play I saw was Komet catch the 2-point conversion. Then there was buffering. I thought we won. Literally 5 minutes later, I found out we lost. I had my tweet ready to roll for the hey, sure, Jaden Daniels played a better game for 98% of that game than Caleb, but Caleb had the game-winning drive, and then I had to hit delete because Jaden Daniels threw a Hail Mary that was deflected by Bears players into the hands of a Washington defender. So it's Rayon Halapota. So sad, man. The last 2 seconds, that one, it's really hard to argue with that. Just gut punch, absolute and utter gut punch. There was some really, really bad football that was played by the Bears defensively. It is that bend but don't break defense. And I think that's one of the things that is so frustrating to watch as a Bears fan is you are like, man, they just keep giving up yards. They keep giving up yards. And then you're like, okay, well, they held them to a field goal. They keep giving up yards. They held him to a field goal. And at times they definitely had Jaden Daniels frustrated. When I say that, the kid was definitely still smiling through the whole thing. Like that he's a good quarterback. I know all Bears fans want to be on the better side of this argument, but Jaden Daniels was a better quarterback, period. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything that is outlandish or crazy to say that Jaden Daniels is the better quarterback right now. I think it is really important that we say, hey, Jaden Daniels might be, not necessarily the better quarterback later on, that Caleb Williams might be in the long run a better quarterback. But for right now, today, it was Jaden Daniels. And I don't think I'm saying anything that is outlandish or crazy. And in order to back that up, I'm going to bring on the assistant editor of Bears Wire. It's Brendan Shagru. Now, if you want to find Brendan on Twitter, it's at Brendan Shagru. That's SUGRUE. And, you know, Rayon Halapoda. So you're 100% correct that quarterback was smiling, which felt really weird. It is, yeah, it just, he's good. You can't watch this game and say Jaden Daniels wasn't playing really, really, really well. Matt thrown in that video of Tyreek in the last play. Yikes. I didn't see it. I literally turned off my TV. I turned off. Tell
me. Dangle, it's worse than you think. It is worse than you think. Hello. It's good to see you. I wish this was under better circumstances. I have a special beverage for tonight. Cheers. Yeah, so the Tyreek video, I need to give proper credit, so give me a second. I'm going to do that. Joe Abdo, at Joe_Abdo, he was at the game, and he got this video of Tyreek Stevenson literally jawing at the Commander's sideline right when the play started. He's like doing this, like, see ya, you guys are done. And you can see the receivers coming right at him too. Like the play is live and he's talking trash. And then that happens like 10 seconds later. It's inexcusable. The lack of discipline from this team. Bad. It was so bad. Sorry, I'm yelling.
He was bad all night long. All night.
Yeah.
Maybe he had one or two like decent plays, but I know it was McLaurin it was very clear what he said. You aren't blank. I mean, you can't really argue with it. They were a better football team. The Bears were out coached. They were outplayed. And, you know, yes, we had that little moment. So Brendan, you missed my kind of rant a little bit here, you know, towards the end of it, but it just, the Bears had no business winning this football game and they didn't. There's so many things. Flus, why is Josh Martin, why is he the pass rusher that's in when the game is on the line? It's the last play. Why is he Jacob Martin? Excuse me. I apologize. Yeah. Why is Jacob Martin the guy? It just, I mean, you know, Jacob Martin might be a wonderful human being. And I know he was just signed this week from injury. Why does Matt Eberflus continually do that? Pull his best players at key moments.
Yeah, I do wonder if Montez Sweat was hurt because I know he was in and out of the game dealing with something. I'm not really sure, but why also are you spying Jaden Daniels with TJ Edwards? And TJ Edwards is a good linebacker, but he's not fast enough to kind of contain what Jaden Daniels is able to do. And I know a lot of people online, everybody wants to say there were 15 holding calls on that play. There were, but find me the ref that is going to call a holding call on a Hail Mary play. It doesn't happen. But I don't know. I can sort of excuse the Jacob Martin thing because if Montez Sweat was hurt, he's hurt. I mean, it is what it is. But also, why are you just rushing 3 guys too? Like you're just playing it safe. There's so many different things on that Hail Mary that you look back and I'm probably going to find like 50, maybe how many more when we actually go back and look at everything. You always keep everybody in front of you. That's rule 1. Rule 2 is, especially for a mobile quarterback, maybe rush a few more guys and make them uncomfortable. We saw that actually was able to work earlier in the game. Jaden was able to potentially escape, but he was throwing the ball away. He was inaccurate, and it's a Hail Mary play. The last thing you want to do is give a quarterback time like that. So it's so many different things, but you know what? You're right. The Bears had no business winning that game whatsoever. Ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. That's what this hurts me a lot. And I tweeted that this definitely is the most shock I have felt from a Bears loss since the double doink almost 6 years ago. But at the same time, ball don't lie. They really did deserve to lose this game.
I want to read a tweet to all of you from Cam Worrell. For those that don't know, Cam Worrell was a former safety in the NFL, played for the Chicago Bears for a little while. And this quote, this really, really, really sank in. It's concerning when your head coach is a defensive coach and the Bears concede 15 yards to allow a Hail Mary. That's high school level failure. Matt Eberflus, Brennan, just because it's still there, and I know you didn't get to hear it. Some of our listeners did. For those that are just joining us, this is from last week, our last week's True False. The Chicago Bears' slow starts on offense and defense will come back to bite them later in the season. It did against a really good football team in the Commanders. Dan Quinn, man, like my hat's off to him. He made Caleb Williams look like an undrafted free agent rookie. He looked bad for 98% of that game until to the last bits of the fourth quarter. Dan Quinn had him frustrated, and just that is not what Matt Eberflus did. Matt Eberflus, I don't know what the total stat line is, and I'm sure you're probably going to tell me, but Jaden Daniels had really good numbers despite the Bears being a very good defense.
He did, although he did take a step back from what he was doing, because if you remember, he was completing like 72% of his passes for much of the season. And I think it was down to, I don't know the final stat line, but I can look it up in a second.
I have it right here.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
You ready for this? Okay, so he was 21 of 38, 326 yards, 15.5 average, right, per play, and a tutty, quarterback rating of 92.7. Against the Chicago Bears defense that prides itself on its secondary, especially. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, and he was probably at like what, I'm not doing great at math right now, but it was probably like what, 275, 280 before the Hail Mary. You're looking at less yards, a little bit worse completion percentage, probably worse rating because he doesn't get that touchdown after that. They did good enough against him. I mean, he was having obviously a great game. They did the whole bend don't break defense, able to contain them once they got in the red zone. A couple fortunate calls as well. I mean, the 12th man / false start, that was weird. Then they had the missed field goal that thought was blocked, but it wasn't. So there was a lot of good fortune there. But Jaden Daniels, up until that last moment, he couldn't bring it home. And so, like, I thought Caleb played well once he needed to. Once it came to crunch time, it's just the first three quarters, you can't just dismiss that. So obviously you have to say that Jaden Daniels played the better game overall. But yeah, it's tough. I'm still reeling. I'm still trying to gather my thoughts. I'm sure you are too. And man, it's such a frustrating loss. And I know some people, when I tweeted out, like, this is just the same shock I felt after the double doink. A couple people were like, oh, this is worse. I'm like, no, it's not worse. Because the Bears do have much more of a season to go. Thankfully, they can dig themselves out of this. But Ryan, I am concerned that this is one of those altering losses that could sink a team, because it is hard to come back from this, I think.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of us in our preseason predictions, we talked that the Bears were going to have a really hard time going to Arizona. Not necessarily because we thought Arizona was going to be a great football team, but because you go all the way to the East Coast to play the Commanders, and then you got to fly over and play Arizona. That's a lot of time in the air, not a time at home. Man, I don't know that I'm gonna pick them in that next game for sure. They've got to, and then the really, really tough stretch starts. Those division games are coming around the corner. Yeah, they do get to play New England, but New England's looking a little bit better these last couple of weeks now that Drake May is their quarterback.
We'll see if he's the quarterback still, because he did get hurt and Jacoby Brissett took over. But look, I'm definitely not counting this Arizona game coming up as a win, because the Bears, just like it or not, they don't perform well on the road under Matt Eberflus. He has just 3 road wins. This is yet another loss, especially against a winning team. The only road wins have come against losing teams. or teams that have finished with a losing record at the end of the season. So yeah, like, and Arizona pulled out another win at the very end, right? Like they beat Miami this week. So Arizona's just stacking up these really close wins. I think they've won 3 in a row now, at least. Yeah, this schedule looks a bit harder than it did just even a few weeks ago. Have we talked about Shane Waldron yet?
The only thing I said is that he's regressed back to the week 1 and 2 versions of Shane Waldron. But the Doug Kramer one, and I just because we have to, Matt Eberflus stood by the Bears goal line handoff of Doug Kramer. We practiced it a lot. It's a 1-yard play. We felt good about it. I don't understand, man. I don't understand. This is just, he had this offense humming. And yes, they were playing some bad defenses, but look at what the Jaguars did against the Packers. They frustrated them most of today. Packers have a golden horseshoe up their ass, right? And they somehow win every single one of these effing games. But they're doing so well. Last thing I'll say now, because I really want to hear your thoughts. DeAndre Swift has that 56-yard run for a touchdown, whatever it was. The next 3 plays, pass, pass, pass. What are you doing? All game long, that guy is running over Commanders, and you decide, at that point, that's to do it. Shane Waldron, this was his worst game as a Bear offensive coordinator that I'm like, and I am really thinking about those first 2 weeks. I think part of that was on Caleb not hitting receivers, airmailing the ball a little bit, which we saw a little bit more of today. Shane Waldron was atrocious.
He was bad. And this definitely hurts my propaganda for talking up Shane Waldron after he did so well the last few weeks. Like he really did. And you mentioned it. He went back to what he was doing early in the season. I mean, I remember, I think it was the Panthers game. He just ran it up the gut with Roschon Johnson a couple times. Like same thing in the LA Rams game. They stopped getting cute and they just said, we're going to give it to our backs who we know can actually get it into the end zone and get first downs. And it's just so baffling that you are just continuing to try this Doug Kramer experiment. You want to use him as a fullback? All right, fine. Like he blocks. That's what he does. But don't give him the freaking ball when you're in a 1-score game and you are trying to actually take the lead for once in a pivotal, I mean pivotal NFC game right now. He just didn't feel like, I didn't feel like he had a feel for this game at all. And I think we all expected the slow start because that's just what happens under this offense, but it never got better. And I'm glad that you mentioned the 3 straight passes. I missed that. Unfortunately, for much of the third quarter, I had a family photo shoot that was scheduled because my lovely wife, she asked me months ago, hey, what are you doing on the 27th? Like that the Bears are playing, right? I'm like, yeah, but they're playing at noon. Okay, great. We can do this family photo shoot. That's awesome. And then of course it gets flexed. So me being a good husband, I didn't make a stink about it. We did it. It was great. And I raced home to see the craziness of the fourth quarter. But from what I saw for, 75% of the game, he just never had a feel for what was happening. The only time he did was probably that final drive when he finally gave it to Roschon Johnson on 2nd and goal line, which is what he should have done in the first place. But I just, I don't know. I don't know why he didn't have this feel. I don't know why for 2 weeks they had time to game plan and they just went right back to week 1 and week 2. You're 100% right. This was the worst game that they called. It was also hard for the offense to get anything going because of the offensive line issues, injuries galore. Things just were not opening up. Caleb was misfiring passes. He looked rattled and he didn't really settle down until the second half, I think. Started hitting some bigger throws. But I still, for the most part, I definitely lay this loss at coaching and lack of discipline overall, I would say.
Dan Durkin tweeted, Waldron Bears offensive staff had an extra week to prepare for this game. Halfway through, I'm unsure of what the plan is. Who are they attacking? Who did they like in mismatches? Nobody knows. You know that the Commanders secondary not very good, but they
No.
looked fantastic today against the Bears. I also, Brendan, before you hopped on, I talked about calling 2 quarterback runs when Caleb is not running it particularly well. It was bad. Bad. Oh, and by the way, we also haven't mentioned the offensive line is terrible. It's just terrible. Bad. So bad.
It all just reverted back to the bull crap that we saw for the first 2 weeks. Like, this was a team on the rise. They had figured stuff out. And I know they've played some not so great defenses, but guys, the Washington defense isn't that good. It really isn't. And they were missing Jonathan Allen too. Dan Quinn is such a good coach. He's a good DC. He's got his players buying in. I wanted the Bears to hire him, 3 years ago when he was on the short list. He was my number one candidate. And from what other people have said, quite a few people on that search committee, at least multiple people, have said that Dan Quinn was their choice too. This was a Ryan Poles decision to go with Matt Eberflus, and once again we have seen him not close out these close games and do enough to actually get his team over the finish line. Karan Abigage looked way overmatched. That was tough to see, and I know he has a lot of promise. He has a lot of hope. I know from when you guys talked with Coach Ryan McHugh earlier in the summer. Big fan of his, of course. Guys just needs more development, and it was tough to kind of see him for his first true NFL action, and he was getting obliterated. I felt so bad for him, and Antonio Romo just kept calling him out every single play, unfortunately. But with the injuries coming up, I can't. I think so. With Braxton Jones leaving, Tevin Jenkins came back and left, Bill Murray left. It's just brutal. And then to add insult to injury, not that like he's any saving grace, but Nate Davis wasn't active. And even if you needed him, even though he doesn't provide you much, like he's out. So just it was a bad situation all around.
Jack posted earlier, this is the first time I've watched Washington play. They have some serious edgy swagger, don't they? Chippy, mean, intimidating. That's Dan Quinn right there. While we were talking about Shane Waldron, Matt Vander Zanden, good buddy of the pod, as a Bears fan, are we eternally searching for a quarterback or an offensive coordinator? And the answer is yes. The only thing that I would say to this is while Caleb looked like a rookie for 90 whatever percent of this game, when they needed him to score a touchdown, he did it. He made it, and he made a couple throws. The one where he kind of shifts to his right, gets low, and then sidearms to I think it was to Carter. I could be wrong. That was a special play. And then there was another one where you tweeted something along the lines of the one to Keenan Allen went from, oh my God, don't do it, to yes, right? Elation. So we used to saying that with Devin Hester. I used to be like, just run it up the middle. And then you're like, oh, wait, never mind. Or run it around in a circle and get an 80-yard touchdown. Either way.
I am I'm not out on Caleb Williams whatsoever. He looked rattled, and I know that he's had those moments, or he said in the preseason, I don't get nervous. I might call BS on that, man. Yeah, like you seemed a bit nervous. It was a homecoming. I understand that. But yes, he finally settled down when it came down to crunch time. He actually performed. He delivered. I mean, he really had 2 good drives back to back. The play call, maybe that part of it was on him because he kind of rushed the handoff too. I mean, again, bad play call. Totally, but there are 2 sides as well where execution was a problem too. But yeah, just the ability to make things happen. He started to get a better feel for the pocket. The play to DJ Moore, I had literally just gotten home when I saw that. Thankfully he was okay, but that was a strike. That was one of the better throws that he's had all season long. So I am in no way concerned about Caleb Williams right now, because the last few quarterbacks that this team has had, they failed to show up in the fourth quarter. We said that about Justin Fields a lot. And you know what? It wasn't perfect, but Caleb, he gave his defense 23 seconds to work with. Okay, that should be enough to win. I I don't put this loss on Caleb Williams. He did what he needed to do, even if it wasn't pretty early on.
The only thing I'll push back to just what you little said is, do you have zero concern? I, of course, have some concern. We knew it wouldn't be a linear progression. We knew that. We've talked about that endlessly on this show. But to see those first 3 quarters, and I know you missed part of that game, at least just look at the first half. He looked bad.
Yeah.
Period. Right? There's nothing after that necessarily. But the thing is, when it mattered, he still is a rookie. He's still developing. I think the hardest part about this was watching Jaden Daniels, who Cliff Kingsbury is just allowing that kid to do all the things that he does very, very well. He's putting it, I don't know if he's simplifying it in a way, whatever he's doing, he's making him look exceptional, where Caleb looks like a rookie who's developing, who has incredible talent, but is still developing and not developing, I think, as quickly as we wanted. Yes, he looked good those last couple of weeks, but against Washington after the bye, this is not what we were hoping to see.
No, it isn't. And again, there were very good things from the Washington offense. The Bears defense clamped down at times, and yeah, I've talked about the red zone, but there were also some other, big moments that they were able to push back on and get a couple 3-and-outs as well. So, like, Jaden Daniels is beatable, and the Cliff Kingsbury offense is beatable. You saw that. They only scored 18 points. I think that's their lowest in quite a few weeks, I think. And this was like one of the top offenses coming into the league. So, or coming into the week, excuse me. So, yeah, it is all about that coach quarterback comfortability. And I really thought we had that with Shane Waldron and Caleb Williams at this point. Like, those two had a good relationship. And I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying on the field, like, things were moving a lot better. But clearly not. There's a lot of work to be done. And you know what? Maybe in the end, this is a good thing. The Bears kind of get their ass kicked a little bit. They were riding high. We all were riding high on this team. And now it's like, okay, reality check. And Dangle, I will give you your flowers because I know you said it in our text thread earlier this week. You were like, I don't know if this team is good yet. I think that, yep, that is the smile of a, boy, I hate that they lost, but I'm a little happy that I at least was right. So I can at least take that with me. Not a lot, just a little.
I like to be wrong. When I say things like that, but Patrick Sheldon, who I love dearly in our text thread, saying that the Bears are going to sweep the Packers. Are you out of your effing mind? What? They're not going to sweep the Packers. The Packers keep winning. Regardless, it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking. It doesn't matter how much they're down by. It doesn't matter. They just keep winning. And this team is coached by Matt Eberflus, which I am really want to get to this point. If you couldn't tell, folks, we're having a very different episode than normal. We still got to give a shout out to Jeff Cadwallader, even if we don't go to the outhouse and the penthouse, which we'll do in a little bit. But this is one that I've been thinking about a lot. Last couple of weeks, Jack put out a question, and I thought it was a legitimate question. How much credit do you give to Matt Eberflus for the win streak that they had? And then today you think, how much of this is on Matt Eberflus? I give Matt Eberflus credit when it comes to the culture, the team culture. Clearly that these guys, they play hard for him and they seem to be a fairly tight-knit group, but they were insanely undisciplined. And game day decisions, he is bad. Not like meh. He's bad at it. He doesn't challenge when he should challenge. He challenges when there's like it's absolute and utter stupidity. Timeouts, taking guys off the field, not calling timeouts when he should call timeouts. He's not good at the in-game stuff, and we saw that today. So I'm curious, how much credit do you give him for the win streak, and how much of this game do you put on Matt Eberflus?
Well, if we're talking about percentages, I guess I would say like 25% for the win streak. And I think that's fair. The defense has still played at a high level overall. I mean, they beat the piss out of all of those teams, the Panthers and the Jaguars going into this week. And again, they still played overall well against the Commanders when it came down to brass tacks and keeping guys out of the end zone. It's what they do. For this game in particular, though, you're coming off a bye. You're going up against a good winning team. And everybody knew this was a measuring stick game. Like, you're feeling good about yourselves. You have to set that standard going into the week after the bye. And all I heard the last week, I personally never bought this, but everybody was saying Matt Eberflus is good after the bye. He's good after long periods of rest. I never thought that. I really didn't. I thought like he had some good moments, but I did kind of worry, like, I picked the Bears to win. I did. I'm not trying to backtrack or anything, but I did worry in the back of my head a little bit. Will this team be fully ready to face what this Commanders team has to offer? Are they just disciplined enough? Are they just geared up, ready to go? And clearly not. And I think that does fall at the feet of the head coach. I mean, think about Andy Reid. Andy Reid after the bye is like unbeatable for as long as he's been coaching. He's got his guys ready to go. There are certain coaches in certain situations that you can count on, especially when it comes to long rest. Not Matt Eberflus at this point. So yeah, he definitely deserves more blame. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's definitely more than the credit he was getting for the winning streak, I would say.
Just because I want to make sure that we do this, because really, truly, Brendan, the podcast, we're so unbelievably fortunate to be to have some really great friends like Jeff Cadwallader. So I want to say some nice things about him, and then we can kind of continue this episode, because I'm really just not feeling a traditional outhouse penthouse. Let's talk about him. Mm-hmm. Chicagoland investors, business owners. Do you need commercial real estate expert? You got to talk to our guy, Jeff Cadwallader at SVN Landmark Commercial Real Estate in Geneva. He's got generations of experience. He specializes in office, retail, investment, and land properties. For all of your commercial real estate needs, you got to trust Jeff Cadwallader. Visit jeffcre.com or give him a call or a text message, 630-254-4734. You can just shoot him a text message. If you're thinking about it, if you're thinking maybe, talk to our guy, Jeff. He truly is a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I'm sure he can get the answers for you if he doesn't know it right off the top of his head, but that dude's brilliant. So I'm sure that he probably will. Brandon, what else do you want to talk about, man? Because at this point, I'd like to just go and maybe not football for the rest of the night, because this was tough. I mean, and we can peel back the curtain all we want to, but there, I basically said I'm out, and then Jack's like, well, yeah, I'm out too. And, I just thought I don't want to give any more emotional capital to this team because they don't deserve it. And just maybe spend some time with my family. But, Brendan was like, we really should do this. And I do agree. It's nice to vent a little bit, but also too, like, I don't want to continue to just dig on this team and this loss. I'd like to try to move forward. What do you want to talk about? What are we missing?
Oh boy. Well, I do. You're right. A lot of people, we were talking, and it is hard to get the energy to do this and the emotion. And I think we all were just feeling shell-shocked and everything. And yeah, we cover the Bears, and I've tried to, I'm still a fan, obviously, at heart. I try to take off my fan hat sometimes to be more objective, especially when it comes to writing and covering. But I do think we owe it, and we did owe it, to everybody who continues to follow us, everybody in the chat. Bruha's here. Obviously, you shouted out Matt Vanderzanden. Ozzy was here. So many different people. So, we do it not only to just kind of commiserate amongst ourselves, but we do want to obviously give everybody a space and hear your thoughts as well. So, yeah, Alexander Moss, I'm going to go swim in the Calsag River. Don't do that yet, but we're glad you're here, and we're glad that you're just kind of, part of the therapy here. Man, it was so bad. Like, I even heard from my boss. My boss texted me today and just said,
I got so many text messages from people like, oh my God, I can't believe they lost that game. why are you texting me? Like I don't understand. Like why is this a thing? You know how emotionally vested in this team I am, and you're texting me to say things like I don't. Which I got to give a quick apology to Steve from Roar of the Lions. He was having some playful jabs early on in the day, and I think I read one of his tweets or texts wrong, and I was just like, "Are you serious, right?" Like when the Lions lost the playoff game, I remember being in my head like, "Yes!" And then to the Roar of the Lions guys, I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I know that like double doink. I know how much that hurts." You know what I'm saying? And like, a couple people like, just don't poke the bear right now. Just leave me alone. We can be friends and we can be friendly later. But right now, like, I don't have a whole lot of grace for all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was the same way. I think I saw that tweet, by the way, that showed up, and even I sort of was like, you're pushing it. Like you're really pushing it with that. So you're totally right to have that reaction, because I kind of had that reaction too. Yeah, I don't know. This was just this is just such a gut punch. So I guess I said what I think about like this isn't worse than the double doink. I assume you agree, or are you kind of feeling that same?
I do agree. This one is the most. Probably because of the emotional investment and the fact that we are on an upswing, that it hurts the most. I officiated the wedding of a friend who's diehard Lions fan. He texted me, "Please don't kill yourself." Alex, we're glad that you're still with us. Yeah, my friend Nikhil, who lives out in DC, he went to the game. Last time we went to the game together was one of the Bears' 3 losses in the 2006 Super Bowl run. There were only 3, and Nikhil took me to
Let me guess. Let me guess. Okay, it was 3 losses. Because this is more fun than talking about whatever we just watched.
I saw 2 of them live.
Oh, that sucks. I saw 2 wins live that year.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but there was a point I was 1-13 at Soldier Field.
Dude. Yikes, man. That's
Yep.
Yeah, no. Okay, I'm gonna guess you guys went to the New Year's Eve Packers loss.
I am beyond proud of you. That is, he even said, "Hey, let's go. Let's do it. I mean, we're not going to do anything, and it's a beautiful night." I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." It was unseasonably warm. We went and we lost, and he texted me. And so every time he's been to a Bears game, they've lost. So thanks, Nikhil. I love you.
Oh, that's cool. Well, at least for that game, like they had already locked everything up, and it was just sort of like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe we have a quarterback problem, but it's fine. Let's get drunk on New Year's Eve. It's cool.
How about this? Oh man, Alex Moss, please stop it. He's ranked them for us. Number 1, the double doink. Number 2, Rodgers to Cobb on 4th down, the Chris Conti game, and then this. I just because I've got to now. The Cobb one is 1 for me. That's number 1. That is the most painful has ever been for me as a Bears fan. Number 2 is the double doink, and number 3 is probably this one.
Wow. The Cobb one's 1, but like you can rank these however you want. But my issue with that, so I'll just say mine's double doink. I think I'm with Alex Moss. Double doink, Rodgers to Cobb, and then this. We actually did like a top 15 most just painful losses of the last 15 years, I think, for the Bears Wire. I texted Alyssa after this. We may need to update that. But the thing about Rodgers to Cobb is, 1, it was for the division. So that's less stakes than the wild card game. And 2, I just feel like even with that defense, we kind of knew like they weren't going anywhere. With the double doink game, with the defense and how the offense at least looked at the end, there was a lot of belief that the Bears could continue to make some noise and, potentially reach the conference championship game.
3 words: Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. You are totally entitled to your opinion. I just think wild card over week 17.
I understand. No, I totally get it. Yep. So yeah, thank you. Here's this. We're not going to the penthouse, but I mean, I do think just a nod to DeAndre Swift, who looked terrible to start the season, and since then has been in effing sane. Just gonna read the stat line. I know there's a long of 56 yards, but that doesn't matter. 18 attempts, 129 yards, 7.2 yards a carry, and a tutty rushing the ball. Just so he didn't have a catch, but the Lions fans going back to this one, they can't let the David Montgomery thing go, and whoever the Jahmyr Gibbs, they're just I don't miss them. I don't miss it at all. Like truly don't. Yeah. So we just had someone, your team isn't called the Redskins anymore. They're the Commanders. Just again, I think that speaks volumes about people's character, that they couldn't just enjoy their victory, that they seek out.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Let them.
No, you and I disagree strongly on this, is that this dude went out of his way to find us. And then instead of just enjoying his victory, tries to trash on other people. And again, you root for the Commanders. That's the name of your team. So I'm just going to put that out there. That's how I feel about it.
You could say whatever you want within reason, Philip. It's fine. It's fine. Wait, the Bears just, again, ball don't lie. The Bears absolutely deserve to lose that game.
Oh, absolutely. No disagreement there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I know we open up ourselves to, opposing fans coming in. It is what it is.
I just, man, if the Bears went to the Super Bowl, I'm not going to the opposing team or Packers fans podcast. And I don't know, man. You do you.
Oh, I'll
Phillip.
listen.
Yeah,
I'll listen. I mean, maybe I won't comment, but I'll definitely
he's it's a free country. You can come on and hang out on our podcast. I would have significantly better things to do. I would be celebrating with a beverage right now. That's just me.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't know. It's fine. But let me ask you this: how long do you think it's going to take you to get over this loss?
I'm trying. I want to end this episode pretty soon because I want to go home, to go hang out inside my house because I'm in an exterior facility. Whatever. I'm gonna go hang out with my wife. We're gonna watch TV on the couch. We're gonna fall asleep within about 10 minutes of whatever we put on, and just try as much as I can. I'll just say, like, my job is a very busy one, and I got another very busy week in front of me. So I don't think I'll have time to think about this one. But yeah, it just it stings really bad right now, and I'm ready to move on and let it go because I don't want to give any more emotional capital to the Chicago Bears. They don't deserve it.
Yeah, I want to bury a football. I feel like that would release some demons, just buried in the backyard and just say, here lies the October 27th week 8 game against the Washington Commanders, and just, let it be. That's what Matt Eberflus should do, by the way. You always hear about coaches saying, like, we're going to bury a football, we're going to burn the tape and just move on from it. This is definitely, I think this is a burn the tape, bury the football game, and bench Tyreek Stevenson game, because you cannot, if you're just joining us now, 1, he was the guy who got torched all game. 2, he was the guy who tipped the ball up and allowed Noah Brown to get it. And 3, he was also the guy who was caught on video talking trash to the Commander's sideline, literally during the play. That's a teachable moment where he needs to hit the bench, and Terrell Smith needs to come in instead, because you just cannot do that. Cannot.
He had a terrible game. I don't know why he was talking. I think that is something that I don't know that we necessarily talked a whole lot. This is the most undisciplined I've seen the Chicago Bears. It got chippy, and they were talking and pushing and doing things that Matt Eberflus in his first 2 seasons was really good on the penalty thing, and then this year it's been the other way. It's not been great for him. So I don't know what's going on with there, but the Bears have been undisciplined, especially today.
You know what happened, Ryan? And we haven't talked about it yet, so we should bring it up. I think Velus Jones Jr. was the guy who kept all the discipline on that team, and he's not here anymore. And now clearly, look what happened. This team needs Velus Jones to keep the rig on the road, and you're giving me a look. I'm not serious, bro.
I know you're not serious, clearly, but just no. Sorry.
Yeah.
Brennan, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Anything at all? Because I'm ready, and I think the awesome people that are hanging out with us in the comment section, I think, are also ready for this to be done. And go enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, folks. Like truly, I think that's where we're all at. Unless, Brennan, of course, there is something else that you would like to chat about.
No, the last thing I'll say is if you want to read something a little bit happier, I had an interview with DJ Moore on Bears Wire earlier in the week. Please check that out. It was fun. DJ's a great guy. Glad he's doing okay after this game. And yeah, at least we had some hope going into the game. So it was a very positive conversation. But no, not too much. Like you said, sloppy game, undisciplined. Bury a football, burn the tape, and let's move on.
So that was going to be in my shout outs, but I'll just say, Brendan, I am insanely impressed with you continually. Not only you're phenomenal writer, you are never like, yo, I interviewed DJ Moore. It was just like, this is so cool. Like the love that you still have for what you do, I think permeates in everything. And you've never, ever had the big attitude of I'm bigger than you or whatever. I remember the very first time I was with the Bear Down Report, and we had, I don't know, maybe like 100 followers on Twitter. I reached out to you and you're like, yeah, sure. Of course they'll come in your episode. And it just, dude, you have earned your success, man. You have worked for it very, very hard. And I just think that was going to be my shout out to you. So I'm doing it right now instead.
Oh, thank you, man. That was, it's very nice. And, I know you texted me when I sent you the piece, and it definitely made my day, especially, when you're like, oh, it's so well written and everything. Because I do pride myself on my writing. I like how that my voice kind of comes out in my articles. I obviously love doing the podcast and love talking to everybody here, but that especially for where I've worked and kind of, grown, that's where I started out, like almost 6 years ago. So, no, it really honestly means a lot. And just all the support, everybody, being able to share stuff like that and you guys having to support it. And it's honestly good for all of us. Like I really wanted to, I swear to God, I was going to use the audio for the podcast. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to do a phone call. And I was like, damn. Okay. Well, it was still great to talk with DJ. And, again, thank you very much. It really, truly means a lot.
Well, we are insanely lucky to have Brendan on the pod. Brendan, why don't you give any shout outs that you might have? I've only got one shout out now. And so, who you shout out, buddy?
Oh boy. You know what? Shout out to, I'll just shout out to my wife. It was a tough weekend. It was a busy weekend. A lot of stuff going on, and she just rolled with the punches. And of course, I mentioned the story about us doing, having a little photo thing during the Bears game that was flexed, and it was just a crazy weekend with her doing a bunch of stuff, and just really appreciate all the support from her. So if she ever hears this or hears me from the other room, just shout out to her, and I love her.
I swear this was not planned at all in any way, shape, or form, but my lone shout out now after saying nice things about Brendan is going to go to my wife. So let me just say this, that my job is insane. It is just absolutely insane, and I picked up a new responsibility this year, and so I've had to work some longer hours. She's not complained once about it. She just takes care of things, and she also works overnight at a children's hospital. So last night she worked there, and what did she do? She's like, oh, well, I'm going to hang out with the girls so you can watch the Bears game. So it just like, I'm trying to, as much as I possibly can, when I walk in to hang out with her, just let this one go, because she deserves it. So I'm going to make her listen to this shout out, because Kate, thank you. Thanks for letting me do this. Talk to strangers on the internet about the Chicago Bears. So for all of us here at the Bear Down Chicago podcast, that's Cam Ellis, Logan Bradley, Jack Wright, Patrick Sheldon, Brendan Shagrew. I'm Ryan Dangle, folks. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us. You can help us out. You can hit us with a 5-star review. You can hit like. You can hit subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit like right now, please. That helps us out so much. Whatever you can do, spread the word. We know you can get your Bears content anywhere, and you've chosen to hang out with the Bear Down Chicago podcast. That does not get lost on us. Thank you so very much, folks. And as always, Bear Down Chicago.